All right, we're live. Welcome to Industry Headlines with Kevin and Fred.
Hey, this is our first episode in a brand new series we're going to start, right?
It is. We're live. Welcome to Industry Headlines with Kevin.
I'm hearing
and Fred.
myself in the background.
That is
This is
really awkward.
really interesting. So we're probably going to have to take two
after.
after.
Take two. That's what I get for saying take one as a joke.
Sorry, whoever's watching. We'll be right back.
Still live. We can edit it.
Well, we can just start over. Are we still live?
Yeah, it's still live.
Oh, hey, why not? Oh, we're just going
to go. Yeah, that's
okay,
how we
we'll
roll.
start. We'll pretend we're starting all over here. Whoever's watching live, this is
Sorry about
amazing.
that. The good thing is nobody watches the first one ever.
Nobody ever watches the first thing
Three
you
people
do.
watch it,
No.
and they'll forgive us for it.
All right. Hello and welcome, Kevin Kaufman, Fred Weaver, and welcome to our first installment of Industry Headlines.
Yeah, we're excited about this. So just an extra channel, if you will, to bring in some different takes on the news, stuff that's going out there, going on in our industry. We thought we'd just share some insight on it and see how it goes.
Well, since this is the first time we're doing this, Kevin, I think we have permission to kind of mess up as we go. And for those of you that are watching the video right now, you're going to watch me change the angle here because Mr. Kevin is like out of the shot. There we go. All right, now we're looking better. See?
All right.
Okay, cool. All right, well, now we're looking good. Let's see if we can sound good at all.
Well, that's going to be a challenge.
That's debatable.
All right.
Anyway.
So let's get into the first headline.
Yeah, so one of the headlines that's jumped out to me, there's been sort of this ongoing dispute, might be the politically correct term.
I think, well, politically correct, yes, but I think correct would be lawsuit.
Okay, there's a lawsuit going on
Right.
now between Coldwell Banker, part of the NRT,
Yeah.
and Compass. And there's a lot of bad blood going back and forth. And there was a big headline that just came out last week that I think is going to continue to add to this fuel.
Yeah, so Chris Cortazzo, the number one agent at Coldwell Banker, gosh, I want to say number 3 in the country, number one in all of California, something like $554 million in sales.
It was north of $500 million. I remember that.
Like, think about that was 1 year's worth. Just jumped from Coldwell over to Compass, right?
Yes.
And actually the whole lawsuit is around recruiting tactics and things that are occurring because of this.
Yep.
So this is really big news. Like, this is a big deal that $554 million worth of production
just moved.
Got up and walked out the door and went over to Compass.
Yeah, well, I think it's important. First of all, I want to say I think Ryan Gorman, the CEO of NRT, somebody we both know, took the high road and said, you know, Chris will always be a part of our family, and he's been a longtime Coldwell Banker agent.
Imagine that, handled it that way, gracefully on the way out.
Yeah, and that's why I have lots of respect for Ryan and some of the people at Realogy. But so I want to start with there. I also want to say, though, going a little further, that I believe the heart of the lawsuit is not just like you're recruiting our people. That's always gone on in our industry, right? I don't believe NRT and Realogy are crying wolf over people being recruited away from them. I think the heart of it is that they're alleging confidential information is being taken from the people they're recruiting and used in a less than professional manner.
Basically used back against them. So going and recruiting these very visible agents like Chris and many others, and then getting information from them illegally and then using it against NRT and Coldwell Banker. So I mean, obviously that's a big issue, man. I mean, for this to go to a lawsuit, and it was a big lawsuit, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So anyway, stay tuned. I have a feeling that we have not heard the last headline clip here on Industry Headlines of those two companies. I think we'll probably be talking about them in future episodes to come.
Yeah, something tells me we're definitely going to hear more about that. Well, let's move on to the next one. This one's kind of near and dear to my heart.
It was really near and dear to your heart and your wallet right now. So please share more with us if you
Wow,
would.
way to just put that out there, Weaver. Thanks.
Okay, why not?
So this has been near and dear to my heart for a while, but there's a lot of speculation and movement going on in DC around Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Yes.
So what happened is the last quarter's earnings were just released. There was something like a 1.2 or 1.3 billion dollar profit for the quarter from Freddie Mac. It's like 3 point something from Fannie Mae.
Yes.
So think about that. They collectively, now people think of these entities as like non-productive, losing money, still supported by the government entities. Yet in the second quarter, that's only 3 months, they combined made a profit of over $4 billion. And every bit of those dollars went to the Treasury in what is called a sweep.
The United States government Treasury.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're going back in time, somewhere along the lines, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were not doing as well as they were today.
Yeah,
right. We're going back into our short sale foreclosure days.
That's exactly
2006, 7, 8, probably more 8, 9, right?
Yeah. So go back to about 11 years ago, and government seized control of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and essentially
seized control. They deemed them unworthy of being able to operate on their own.
Yep, and so they brought them into what they call conservatorship, right? So the government has conservatorship over them. Now, I don't have all the exact numbers, but from what I told, it was around 190 billion total was invested from the Treasury into Fannie Mae and
bailed
Freddie Mac.
Out. Could we use that term as well?
Bailed out.
Okay.
So there's a whole other conversation to go there, but let's just leave it at that. So far now in the 11 years, the Treasury's been repaid well over 300 billion. That's with a B, $300 billion. And so now the argument here that's being made is, why are these companies not back to being public entities, not under conservatorship? Because they've been consistently turning a profit, and the US Treasury just continues to take the money.
So I suppose one side of the argument from the government or somebody that wants to take this side would be, well, if you weren't strong enough to keep the company open without our help, then it's our opinion and jurisdiction to decide when we're going to let you have your own profits back and go back public, right? Like, hey, sure, you're making a profit now, but 10, 11 years ago you weren't, and you wouldn't be here without us if it hadn't been for us. I'm guessing that's one side of the argument on why to keep it in conservatorship.
Yeah, and the other side of it is, okay, now they've repaid 300 billion. Now, who knows, who's to say what amount was fair, what wasn't? But here's what I do know. They've repaid a lot of money. Now, if they just keep giving that money back, when are they ever going to be stable enough to support themselves? Because as it stands right now, and I'm a big believer in they should live and die on their own. Right. Meaning, if they can't make it, you and I as taxpayers and you should not have to bail them out.
Well, I think you and I had some strong feelings on this 10, 11 years ago when some of our favorite banks were getting bailout money, but homeowners were not, right? Yeah. And I get it. Yeah, there was homeowner, stuff, money that got put out there way too late in the game for many homeowners and way too many hoops to jump through. But obviously the government came down and made a very clear decision. We're going to save big bad banks. I'm going to call them bad, right? And we're gonna say, sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. That's the position they took.
Yeah, which sucks.
Which I didn't agree with at the time. I don't know if I still do. I'm not here to say what our economy would look like if the government hadn't done that. I don't claim myself smart enough to be able to say that. I just don't like the position of, hey, we'll save companies over people first.
Yeah, me neither. I'm always people first, companies not even second.
But that aside, here we are now. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are standing on their own, creating profit, having nothing to do with the current aid of the government. That aid was more of a one-time or short period of time thing, right? They're now on their own. They're now operating at high levels of profitability. And so there's a big push going on, right, to the government to release them from conservatorship.
Yeah, and so, but in the like, you look at one of the other companies that was taken over, AIG. Now that's been released.
Okay.
There's arguments out there this is illegal, and there are already some courts that have ruled in the favor that this is illegal, which is why this is starting to get forced into the light right now. So Mark Calabria, who's the new Department of HUD and whatever.
FHFA.
Thank you. The head of that. He's been on record long before he ever got that position that these should absolutely be. They should not be part of the government, right?
Okay.
Now he actually was a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So this wasn't like, hey, we should give them back all their money. It's that we should let them sink or swim on their own.
Okay.
And so he's promised to come in and change this. Now it's yet to be changed. There's a lot of speculation that there's a big announcement coming in the next 35 to 60 days. Okay. But we'll see if that happens. But essentially, this is actually illegal what the government's doing by just continuing to sweep this money and not let the company go back into being a publicly traded company.
Yeah, if you like the stock market and you like kind of watching what's going on out there, this is not stock advice, but just go check out and watch what's happened to Fannie Mae stock over the last year or two and Freddie Mac stock, right? Yeah. It's seen its way above $3 a share when it used to be in the pennies. It's found its way back down to the low $2 a share. There's a lot of people out there speculating and hoping that it is released from conservatorship so they can cash in. There might be somebody I know that also is heavily invested and interested in what happens out there. But it's interesting. It's fun. It's fun to watch. Definitely not stock advice. We're not smart enough to give stock advice. But you could definitely go out there and check things out for yourself if this is of interest to you. If you were a part of the real estate market and the bank collapse of 10, 11, 12 years ago now, I think this means even more to you just watching this all play out. Yeah,
if nothing else from the sport of it. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about another startup, right? Because what would a real estate news segment be without a startup? Without a startup. So let's talk about, in this case, Curbio. Curbio just raised $7 million in funding to kind of help them expand out. So let's tell everybody what Curbio is.
Yeah, so I got asked by somebody recently if I knew what Curbio was, and I kind of said, I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't know much. And then I was reading through some news headlines, right, educating myself in the last couple of days, and whoop, what do you know? There they are in the news again, right? Kevin raising more money. I think they just raised another $7 million, taking their total capital raise over $13 million since they launched in 2017. So here's what Curbio is. It's essentially a partnership with homeowners to help renovate and fix up your house so you can put it back on the market and sell your home for top dollar quickly, right? And so Curbio is partnering with real estate agents and homeowners to bring not only technology, but also the resources to be able to go into a house and get it fixed up quickly. One of the things they stand on, I believe, is getting houses fixed up 60% faster, is I think what they like to say, right? So sure, you might be able to go out on your own and hire a contractor, right, and try to do this on your own. You got to figure out what you're going to fix up. These guys have experience under their belt, having done, many of these type of renovation projects. And so they're partnering with agents and homeowners to get houses fixed up.
Part of their value prop, if you will, to the consumer is that, hey, we've got project management, we've got selection, meaning we know what parts to pick out to put into your home when it needs to be fixed up, so that way we can maximize the profit on your home. So that is actually part of their plea or their pitch, if you will. And I mean, to me, I actually really like this idea. This is something that as real estate agents, we could be doing this on our own with our clients if we wanted.
In fact, I know some people that are. Yes.
Yeah, there's no reason why we couldn't say, hey, listen, we know that if this home, let's just say as an example, had a $20,000 renovation, we could probably see an extra $50,000 in sales price, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times the owner of the home just doesn't have the money to do it. And so what if we had a win-win solution where we could lend them money, right? Maybe you put a second on the home, help them with the project management, and you put the second on the home, so you get paid off when it closes, and now they end up walking away with, say, I don't know, $20,000 extra dollars when it's all said and done after you get paid back. Yeah. You still get your listing. To me, this could be another value proposition as a real estate agent we bring to the transaction. I mean, to me, this is a really great idea.
It is a great idea. And what I love about what Curbio is doing is the homeowner doesn't actually have to pay them until closing. So Curbio is putting their money where their mouth is, if you will, and literally saying, hey, we're not going to charge you anything until closing. So now I do believe you give up a lot of the control and rights as a homeowner as to what you would want in the house, right? So if you're like, I don't like white kitchen cupboards, I think Curbio is going to say, that's too bad. This is our money. We're driving this deal. We get to choose how we're going to renovate your house to maximize the price we're going to sell it for. This isn't a come in and pick and choose all your finishing touches on the house you're trying to get on the market and sold.
Yeah, I'd love to maybe see a contract like that, see some of those details, because again, I do really think in concept, this is a great idea. I think this has got some traction to it. Clearly, they've raised over $13 million now. So my hunch is we're going to keep hearing about this company as well for some time to come. And something tells me if this continues to get traction, we'll see some others in the space come up as well.
Yeah,
it's just a hunch.
Yeah, and I'll just finish with this. They're projecting that they're going to do over 1,000 projects in 2020 next year. So they're in the hundreds right now, right? They're not at that massive scale, but they're operating in DC, Maryland, Virginia, Baltimore, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, and Orlando. With plans, I think also Philadelphia, New Jersey, and plans to go into Chicago, Tampa, Miami. So you're definitely seeing their footprint expand.
Those are the big boy markets,
right? Those are some big boy markets following in the footsteps of other real estate technology companies that have come before them. So
speaking of real estate technology companies, what's our last story of the day, buddy?
Well, I think we gotta talk about Zillow. How could you almost not have a real estate industry headlines update without mentioning Zillow at least every other episode or so, right? So Zillow's been in the news a couple of times recently. I want to talk a little bit about their mortgage division that they announced they're launching, but also want to talk a little bit about the iBuyer model. So where would you like to start?
Yeah, so let's start with the mortgage division. So rumors are spreading that they've said, hey, let's put the brakes on the mortgage thing. I get it, because they've got, I mean, the other thing we're talking about here is iBuyers. Like, there's a lot of rapid expansion going on right now, right? I mean, they are moving fast. They're throwing gasoline on the fire, if you will, and moving quickly to catch up with the other people in that space.
And to be fair, because sometimes when you can read news articles, you can take a headline and kind of turn it out of context. I don't think they're saying we're slowing down the mortgage piece because of iBuyers, although they have a lot invested and a lot of focus and energy on that. Their current statement is that they're slowing down the mortgage piece because their software is not fully up and running and functional. So they've sort of halted their hiring and everything else. Now, we can make guesses on what's going on behind the scenes, but that's the official public statement, is it has to do with their software is not yet ready.
Don't get me wrong, Zillow Home Loans is coming, right? Like,
oh, it's coming.
We've seen that. Like, when they bought the mortgage company, I think that was last year, I was like, oh yeah, of course, right? It's coming. Makes total sense. But here's the deal. The reason why software is behind the curve, this is just me guessing here, because that's all this is, just our opinions anyways.
Right. So, isn't that what news is anyway? There's like 9 sides to every story.
Like, if you have your resources over here on iBuyer, clearly the iBuyer model is the priority of the company.
Yes.
That's very clear.
Yes.
They've made that abundantly clear. That means there are less resources for other things, including home loans. Now, it doesn't mean, again, that home loans are going away or that it's just going to be put on eternal pause. Like, that's not the case. Trust me, Zillow Home Loans is coming. If I had to bet on it, I'd bet on it.
Yep.
But it's, iBuyer is their baby right now. Like, that's their deal. And I think it's because they're trying to catch up to Open Door and OfferPad and all the people that had a longer head start.
Right.
And gosh, you and I we've seen the expansion that they've been rolling.
Right. Well, so listen to these numbers, Kevin. In the first quarter of 2019, Zillow was losing an average of $3,268 per home that was going through their iBuyer program. Okay. So about $3,200, right? In the end of the second quarter here, it's reported that they're losing an average of $2,916. Now, that may not seem like a really big deal to you, but that's a 10 or 15% improvement on the amount of money they're losing. And I know some of the agents out there that are listen to this right now are going to say, these are dumb models. Why would anybody do this? This is why you shouldn't sell to them. Well, if Zillow wants to lose money forever, but your client likes the convenience and the certainty of taking their offer, who are you to tell your client they shouldn't be working with Zillow?
Yeah, like, that's the number one thing is I hear from agents, which is, well, they can't just keep losing money forever. They're not going to lose money forever. First of all, they have a path to profitability. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the billions of dollars invested into them that they have, right? Some really smart people who work for these companies. So it's not that they're going to lose money forever. They're not. They certainly will not. But they can lose money for a long time. There's this little company called Amazon. They lost money for about 20 years or so.
Yeah, there's a little track record out there of companies, right, who to get to scale and completely obliterate the rest of their competition are willing to lose money for a sustained period of time in order to own that market and then start turning a profit. Now, I'm not here to say you should run your real estate sales team that way or your mortgage office that way or your mom and pop business that way, but you're also not Zillow.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. You're not a publicly traded company with money coming out the wazoo that you can just invest wherever you want, right?
I wonder how much money you have to have for it to be the wazoo.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know that saying.
I can't wait to find out. I'm going to find out. I'll let you know when money's coming out of my wazoo.
I think it's less than $3,200 at home at the wazoo. If you could spell wazoo, bonus points for you.
Is that like?
I have no idea. Don't ask me. But anyway, I think the point here is that they're okay with losing money. So's Open Door.
So's OfferPad.
So's OfferPad. They're all okay with losing money right now. They're trying to prove a consumer-driven model where the consumer looks at them in a great light and says, "I really like what you're doing. That makes sense for me." And we've talked on other podcast episodes outside of this series we're doing about how it provides certainty and it provides what?
Ease,
simplicity,
ease,
right? Like it just completely eliminates. Yeah, I completely eliminate. I don't have to worry about how many people are going to come through my home. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to get from my house. You tell me the exact dollar amount, and I don't have to worry about anything else.
Absolutely. So
it's beautiful,
guys. iBuyer model's not going away. We've talked about this. We had an interview recently with Dan Noma, who's like probably the leading expert in the industry on that. Leo Perea has been on here. He's also one of the experts in the industry on this subject. And the reality is this just isn't going away anytime soon. And so it's going to be interesting. I personally believe like Zillow is going to find a way. They have the #1 consumer brand in all of real estate in our industry.
Yep.
And this is strictly my opinion. I just but I believe they have the #1 brand in our industry. They've got the most traffic and they've got the most data. And like, it is a household name. Now, don't get me wrong. Opendoor and OfferPad are starting to become household names in certain states. And I think Zillow has a leg up on them from that standpoint. What Opendoor and OfferPad have is they've got time and experience of actually doing these transactions. So this is a race, no doubt. And I'm excited to watch what happens over the next 3 to 5 years as these companies continue to grow their model, just to see what happens.
And if you're a homeowner out there, I think you're excited about new opportunities and new ways to sell your property with more ease and more certainty. And if you're a real estate agent out there, I think the question you have to keep asking yourself is, how do I position myself between the consumer and all these options to be the place that consumers, homeowners go for the information they need to sort out all the options going on in our market?
Yeah.
And if you're just a viewer, then just sit back and watch, because it's a fun show to watch if you ask me.
Yeah, nothing else. It's
disruption at its finest.
Which is, I'm always a big fan.
I love it. I love it.
All right, guys. So that's it. That's the first edition, if you will, first episode of Industry Headlines.
Is that what we call this? Industry Headlines?
Industry Headlines. Buddy.
Is that going to stick?
It's going to stick.
Okay. All right. Can you tell our cameraman that it's time to end the episode?
We're going to have to get some sponsors so we can afford to pay someone.
I was just thinking that right now. We also need like some drinks right here on the table. You know, I don't know, we paid a little bit. I don't even like coffee, but maybe Starbucks or somebody wants to. Oh, I don't promote Starbucks at all, not unless they're going to give us money. You should go turn the camera off. I'm stalling, so give you time. Thanks for joining us for Industry Headlines. We'll see you back here next week, same time.